Dobry den,
Zdravejte.
and welcome back to our little Bulgarian adventure.
Well, as we said last week, this week's going to be cold. It has been.
Yeah, we haven't got above freezing all week. I don't think we've even been close to freezing most of the week.
No. Tuesday our high temperature was -6.
Yeah.
Our low was something like -14.
Yeah.
Bit chilly. We've used a bit more wood this week than we normally do.
Yeah, I think we finally made a dent in our wood stocks.
A very small dent, but it's there nonetheless. But we have been running both pechugas, one at each end of the house, and the house has been lovely warm.
Yes, it definitely works, the whole heat rising into this room from the kitchen.
Yes, we've been nice and toasty and warm, so well worth every bit of wood we put on the pechugas.
It has stopped us getting out and doing stuff though.
Yes,
it's a bit too cold to be working for any length of time outside.
It is. Having said that, I think it was last Saturday, I had a quick look up in the loft and found that if you only do half a job, the other half will come up and remind you to do it. If you don't know what I mean, have a look at this. Before Christmas you would have seen me sorting out some area around the chimney that was leaking and the water was running down this wall and wearing away the mud brick. Well, the work I did up there has stopped the water coming down this wall, and the wall is beginning to dry out quite nicely. The bit I didn't manage to do was this bit up here, which is the side of the chimney, and as a result the water that's now not going down the back wall is coming down this side wall. That's made all this mud brick wet, and any of the loose stuff that was on top of it has basically fallen down the wall and is now in a big pile on the floor. So obviously I've got to sort this problem out, and as we've got bad weather coming, I've got to do it now. Through this hole here you can see the brickwork of the chimney and the metal of the gully that's next to the chimney. Now there's quite a gap between these two, which is where the water's coming through. So I've basically got to fill up that hole and stop the water coming through. This here is the hole that I need to fill up. It's the edge of the metal. This is the edge of the chimney, and there is a gap that I can get my hand in which needs filling up. Now there's nothing underneath to support concrete or whatever I'm going to put there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of the foam insulation, put it in there, trim it so that I've got a foundation for the concrete to go on top of. Then I'll put concrete on top, which will funnel any water down the chimney into the gully and away. So now looking down the side of the chimney, you can see that I filled most of the gap up with the polystyrene. There's room now to put concrete on top of it and make a nice lip that overhangs it and stops the water from going inside the house. I'm going to do that next, and then once it's dry we'll see how successful it's been. This is the slightly drier sealed area now. you can see the hole is completely covered, so we shouldn't be getting any more water down through there. I've got to clean out the gully and just give that a brush down, remove any bits of concrete that fell down there, just to aid the water flow when it does rain. But hopefully that's going to keep the water out and allow the wall inside to dry out and solidify up again. So fingers crossed, that should do us in the short term. So that's just a temporary fix around the chimney until later in the year when it's warmer and I can actually get out and do the roof properly.
Yes, your plans to rebuild the chimney in the better weather this year.
But it was just important to stop the water getting into the loft.
We don't normally fill things with polystyrene.
No, it's not my usual method of doing things. As you know, if you're a regular viewer, I do tend to do a belt and braces approach. But it'll do until I'm ready to do it properly.
Yeah, so that left us with the rest of the week mainly pottering around indoors.
Yes, we certainly weren't going out, apart from to get the wood and to do the dogs, we weren't going outside ourselves.
Yeah.
So we've been baking.
Yeah, we've had quite a baking week really, lots of pies, lots of bread,
Yes.
curries, and I finally did my recipe for Welsh cakes, which has been requested once or twice. So here it is. Today I'm going to show you how I make Welsh cakes. They're a real taste of home for me. My mother used to make them a lot when I was a child and I really adore the taste of them, so I hope you enjoy them as much as we do. Some of the ingredients are slightly different because we are in Bulgaria, not in Wales, but we're close as we can and they taste pretty much the same. So, what ingredients do we need to use? So we start off with 225 grams of all-purpose flour. I use this one, which you can get in most Bulgarian supermarkets and our local village shop. 85 grams of sugar. I use this one, again, freely available in most shops in Bulgaria. You need 100 grams of butter and lard. So the butter I use is this one, and the lard you can get again in most Bulgarian shops, even our local village shop sells this, and it's usually 50 grams of each. You then need dried fruit. It's supposed to be currants, but they're harder to come by here, so I tend to use these golden sultanas, which again you can buy in most of the large supermarkets. A beaten egg, some baking powder and some mixed spice. If you haven't got mixed spice, you can just add a quarter teaspoon of nutmeg and a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon. They look like this. You may also need a splash of milk, but we'll see if we need that later on. So I start by mixing all the dry ingredients together in a mixing bowl. So the sugar, the flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of mixed spice. I do kind of guess it a bit. Mix that all together with a fork. Then add the fat. I find usually if I slice this up a little bit into smaller pieces rather than one big lump, it's much easier to rub it all in together then. And then you just rub the fat into the flour until you get a mixture that looks a bit like fine breadcrumbs. It doesn't take that long. It's actually easier, I find, if the butter is cold. So when your mixture looks like fine breadcrumbs, and no big lumps in it, you're ready to move on to the next bit. So next you get your beaten egg, and you just add that into the middle of your mixture. Once you've mixed it in a little bit, you can just start bringing the dough together with your hand. Well, mistake there. I was supposed to add currants before I added the egg yolk, but not too late, we can still add them now. You see it comes together as a dough quite easily, but if it's a little bit too dry, I might just need a splash of milk. To bring it together, but you do want a fairly firm dough. So just keep mixing it together, kneading it together till you get a firm dough. It doesn't take very long. One dough ball. You just want to lightly flour a surface on your rolling pin and get your dough out. Roll it out so that it's probably about 1/4 of an inch thick. Do you think that is? Take your cutter. Just cut out the little rounds. You just lightly grease your pan once you've got it warm. It doesn't need to be very hot, but you do need some heat in there. Just place your rounds into your pan. Once you've cut out your first lot of Welsh cakes, you can just bundle it all back up together again. Roll it out again and cut up the rest until you've used all your remaining dough. After they usually take a couple, 2 to 3 minutes each side, all depending on the heat in your pan, but basically you want to go for this kind of goldeny colour. Once you've got that, you flip them over, let them go for another 2 or 3 minutes. We'll just have a quick look. Yep, I think they're done. We'll just take those off and put the next lot in. Just oil my pan a little bit. Just with a bit of grease. I use the butter wrapper. Put them on a rack to cool. The other thing you can do at this point is just sprinkle them with a little bit of sugar. And there you have the finished product. That batch of ingredients will normally make between 12 to 16 Welsh cakes, depending on the size of your cutter and the thickness you want your Welsh cakes. They left to just cool for 5 or 10 minutes and then you can eat them. You can spread butter on them or you can have them cold later. They don't last long in our house. They rarely get to the cold stage. Yeah, it's quite an adaptable recipe and you can add any dried fruit in there that you want. We had Christmas ones at Christmas, didn't we? With cranberries
yes.
And cinnamon.
There's also a vegetarian option.
Yes, if you don't want to use lard, you just replace all the fat with the butter.
Yeah. So everybody can eat them.
Yeah.
It's how I stay so slim.
They didn't last long.
No. They never do.
So with the weather's dominating our lives at the moment, but it is due to get a little bit warmer next week.
Oh, I hope so.
Yes, I think we always feel like we're hibernating this time of year, don't
Yeah, it's tricky to do stuff both outdoors and indoors. Indoors because of stuff drying, outdoors because it's just too cold. And it is snowing at the moment.
It is snowing again at the moment. Quite large flakes.
Yeah.
Which is...
So we'll keep you posted on that as well. We might have some lovely snow shots next week.
You never know.
One other little bit of business we've got to do this week. Happy birthday, Gary!
Yeah, happy birthday, Gary. I hope you're having a great time.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Don't drink too much.
I don't know about that, but...
We can try in the morning.
Yeah, don't go for the gin.
No, stay away from the gin.
But have a great day, mate.
Yeah, we hope you do.
And I think that's probably about it for us this week.
I think so.
Yeah, so until next week,
Stay safe.
be well.
Dos Goro.
Dos Goro.